Greetings. This is Arvette McLean of Speak, the Universe Listens.
We cherish that. We love that particular piece of it because it
teach people like, hey, it's okay, change.
New ways to view age-old challenges. Change your thoughts, change your life. Step into the bigness of you.
And welcome to today's episode of Speak, the Universe Listens. And today's topic is, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at will change. And I have Stephen, hey, and Scott, welcome.
Hey. Glad to be here, man. Glad to be here. Excited.
Yes, awesome. Thanks for joining us. So basically, that statement, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at will change. That's a statement that was made popular by Wayne Dyer. But really, it's all about being open to new ways of viewing the world.
That can be a scary prospect.
It can be.
You get used to seeing things a certain way, and this is what I expect. But to think about changing something, even if it's something where we changed it for the better, is unknown. And so it can be a scary place to go when you start thinking about everything changing. Just to be able to, you got to kind of change some stuff internally first to even be willing to accept it. Because there's some discomfort. It's uncomfortable. And everybody's not comfortable being uncomfortable just yet.
And that's a key that you just said. Everybody's not comfortable being uncomfortable. So I think when people get to the point as to where they sit back and say, you know what, okay, I've been doing this for 20 years now, and I'm still getting the same results. So eventually it seems as though like we get into a pattern as to where we get to the point where we're sick and tired of being sick and tired, but yet we don't know what else to do. And we're just in this stuck position, but we are aware that something needs to change, but yet what you mentioned just now, the fear of the unknown. So I don't know what's going to be on the other side of this fence. I know it's not going to be the same as what I'm going through now or dealing with now, but I know something possibly could be better over there, but I'm not too sure if it's going to be better. I'm not, and then you just start to question everything, and then that what keeps a lot of people in the same position. And I think that when you sort of have an open mind, I think that's the biggest thing to changing your life, because a lot of people limit themselves and don't even realize that they're doing it.
Yes.
Don't even realize that they're doing it, because we all can learn from everybody, no matter what the belief is, the background. You can learn from anybody. And I think that when you get to the point as to where you're able to say, all right, I'm open to receive something new, okay, then you'll start to see everything in your life start to shift a little bit. And it's going to be scary because it's things that you're not used to, things that you've never seen before. And I think that the biggest thing that stops people with that is just the fear of the unknown, And when you get to the point of just saying, you know what, all right, let me step outside this box and let me just open up. Let me see what, like a flower just blossoming, just let me see what else is out there. All of a sudden you're like, this is not as bad as I thought it was.
I actually actually had a friend who, I was kind of helping them with their business, like they already had a successful business, but they were wanting to expand. And so I was like kind of helping with the process of changing the thinking. And I just remember a friend said something to the effect of, Black people don't support Black businesses. If they do, they always want a discount. And that it was a third thing that for some reason it just slipped out of my head, but it was a third point that they had made. And I say, Black people support my business. And I say, the third one was they think that Black businesses aren't as good as others. And I was like, Black people support my business. They don't ask for discounts, and they see our business as, like a golden star business. He said, so what you want, a cookie? And I say, no, you say that Black business is blank, and mine does not fit what you say. And he said, you can ask any small Black business, da-da-da-da-da. And I said, well, did you realize what you just said? All of y'all got the first same name, small. And so, but the point being that, yes, if you look around you, if you have a certain way of thinking about things, and you look around you, everybody around you is going to think that as well, because that's what you think and that's what you're selecting for in the world. So everybody's going to think the same thing, and when you come up against people like me who don't think that, then you disregard me because I just want a cookie.
I like that.
And the same person had made comments like, when people make it, they don't come back and they don't help. Okay, but I'm like, okay, but I'm right here. I'm right here, what are you talking about? So, but it's like, getting stuck into your own belief system. And it could be the belief system of many people around you. And so you think because other people think it too, then what you're thinking is true.
It must be true.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. And in lieu of making our own choices, and making a decision of how we want to think ourselves, we do tend to fall into the mass consciousness anyway. And so, so in not making a decision, it's like we're making a decision to go with the masses. But if we think about the masses are typically not as happy, not as successful, not as prosperous. That's a dangerous place to go, to not make a decision. So to just consciously make a decision, to make that choice, to be able to say, I want a different experience. And I'm willing to see that some people are making it, and they're coming back now and doing Speak the Universe Listens to kind of spread the information. To be able to see that, I would imagine even for that particular person in their business, if they looked at all the customers that came through, and I don't know what type of business it was probably mainly Black people.
It was all Black.
I was just guessing.
Right.
But to say that we don't go, the people don't go back to support them, is that true? To be able to just ask the question, is this belief true? Is it a belief or is it true? And chances are it's just a belief.
Right.
And so when you can water it down that way by asking, is this really true? And the thing is, they might say to the next, and that's just using that same scenario, they may say to the next small business owner, is this true? And they're believing from the same paradigm, they're from that same place, so they're saying, yeah, it's true. And we're having the same conversation. But to actually ask, when you look at the customers coming in, is this true? And then you water down the belief. The belief becomes weaker until it can go away completely. And that would be with anything else. Is this really true? To think that, sometimes people are having the belief that they're not enough. I'm not enough to attract a significant other. I'm not worthy to have more abundance, more wealth, or more, whatever it is. We're thinking we're not enough. But then to stop and actually ask the question, is that true? And to know that you were created by God. You were created by the creator of the universe, perfectly, by perfection. And to think you're not enough, is that true? Absolutely not. You know, you know, and so to be able to ask those kind of questions, you know, to put those truth statements out there. Is this real? Is this true? You water down this belief, this misbelief. I don't know the best word for it. Is that a word? Misbelief? But this, you water down this erroneous thinking. And now you can begin to replace the erroneous thinking, that error in your thinking, with a true statement, you know, with a more powerful thought, with a thought that's going to help you to feel better, a thought that's going to help you to create the experience that you choose to create.
I totally agree with you. I think it also too, when I said, you know, people are scared of the unknown, but they also are scared of being the oddball, being the black sheep, being the person that is not with the masses. You see what I'm saying? Because everybody now in society has this common way of thinking, you know, and our job is to redefine that common way of thinking.
Yeah.
And so I think that when we sit back and look at what's best for us, you know, instead of worrying about, you know, what your friend Tom would say, what your parents would think, you know, and that's the biggest thing that sort of hold people back from actually opening up and being open-minded to, like, okay, we're learning new things, you know, learning different cultures, just being the individual that you want to be, what resonates with you. And the biggest thing for me, I can say, I went through the stage of as to where some of my family didn't understand, like, where you get this thought process? Where did this, all of a sudden out of the blue, you know, you talk about the universe and X, Y, Z, like, what is it? See, you know what I'm saying? Like, what are you talking about, right? And so, you know, I was at a stage as to where I was explaining myself, but then I realized I don't need to explain myself because you're not gonna understand me. And so I sort of just sit back and just went on my path, on what I felt was right with me and what resonated with me. And after a while, you know, the same people that sit back and said, I think you fell off the bus or something, you know, you're a little ta-ta. After a while, it was like they see that I'm more happy. My spirit has changed. When I walk into the room, it's like everybody stops for a second, and it's like something different. Yeah. You know? And so that's the energy. That made me feel good, you know. And so after a while, I didn't even think about that, what other people thought. And so my biggest thing now is just, I would love to see people just get to that point as to where they can have an open mind without having the fear of worrying about what the masses think. Because you're not trying to be like the masses. You're not trying to fit in with the masses. You're just being your divine self. And people don't see, I think that they don't realize, we talk about it all the time, our power, our true power. You know, we are a creator. We create everything. We create our situations, we create our reality, how we want to be in this world, you know. And so when we constantly need reminders, don't get me wrong, I did too, and I still do.
Me too.
So yeah, we all do. So just understanding that, just having that open mindset is just a big key for growth and reaching your higher self.
One of the cutest little stories I read, it was in a book, it was called U Squared. Was it U Squared? I think it was U Squared, by Price Pritchard. And it was a story of a fly.
Right.
And so the long story, the short of the story is, there was a fly in a windowsill, and he just kept trying to fly, and he kept flying right into the window, and he butt his head in the window, and he fall down to the windowsill. And then he'd get back up and he'd fly, he'd try to get out that window again, he'd butt his head, and he just kept doing it over and over again until he died right there in the windowsill. However, there was an open door just feet away. And so, like, to me, that story is just so appropriate in terms of how we typically do life. Like, we think that the only way to go is through the window. But if you just kind of tilt your head a little bit, change the way you're looking at things a little bit, there's a whole nother world out there for us. And so a lot of what Scott said about just really recognizing that we are connected to the source of everything. So to me, that is key in terms of being open to a new way of thinking. So if you can think that, think that. So that's one of the keys. But also, one of my favorite ones that I'm currently working on is the whole idea of being non-judgmental. And Scott also just alluded to that when you were saying about look at him and see the divinity in him. And so if we are seeing the divinity in ourselves and we're starting to realize that we are creators, that we are a part of the one who creates everything, that's perfection. So if I start to look at myself from that perspective and start to look at you from that perspective, so I'm no longer looking at what you're doing and saying, what? Why are you doing that? That's stupid. Or that's mean, or that's cruel. Or, all the ways that we judge the world. And like I've said so many times, a lot of times we think that it's good that we're judging, right? Like for us to be able to look out and say, that's bad, that's bad, that's bad. They should do this, they should do that, they should do that. But in the very doing of that, we're diminishing or not recognizing the creative power in that person, not recognizing that that too is God, that that person is made perfectly, and that this moment is perfect as well. And so I think, like for me, that's currently what I'm working on, but that's another way to change the way I'm looking at things, and just to notice, because when I'm seeing you as divinity and as divine and as perfectly made, you morph right in front of my face. Like you change because you will rise to what I'm seeing.
And it's really interesting when you begin to do what you're saying. You begin to see someone else, and you see the divinity that is within them. And I always like that saying. I'm saying that. Sometimes we hear about the saying namaste, and namaste is the God in me, or the divinity in me is greeting the divinity in you. And I always love that feeling behind that. And so when you do that, when you're actually speaking to the greatness in someone else, it's easy for them to now rise up and to operate, to think, to perform from this higher level. When you were saying something a little earlier, I can't remember the exact wordage there, but it reminded me of Marianne Williamson's, one of her little speeches that she said along the way, and she said that when you allow your light to shine, you unconsciously give others permission to do the same. I forget the exact words, but you know what I'm talking about. Right? But I always love just the energy behind that. And so it's important for us to do that as much as we can, to allow ourselves to do, like you were saying earlier, you decided to not be concerned with what the people around you would think. You did what you felt, what you knew was best for you. And so that was allowing your light to shine. It was allowing your greatness to show up. And by you doing that, your experience now becomes different and is visible by other people. They see that, and then they begin to want that as well. And that's a way of expanding the divine, to expand love, to rather than just holding it in, to expand it, to share it out with others. So whether you're doing it that way from an example or just simply seeing others in that great light, not simply saying, she thinks she's cute, but to actually say, to have that thought of, I'm speaking to the greatness that God put right there, that part of you that is one with the universe. It's a great feeling. And I know it's a great feeling because I feel it. You know, when I come around you, I feel it. It's a great feeling. You know, and that's something I want to extend out and just share with everybody. So each one of you right now, hopefully you can feel that at least somewhat from us right now, that we are seeing your divinity. We are seeing that greatness that is within you, that peace that's one with the entire universe and one with the creator of the universe.
Said it so well. So well.
Yeah, so, I think when I first heard that statement, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at will change, you know, you kind of understand it on a you know, intellectual level. But I think I didn't really get it. And I don't even know how to explain at this point what I didn't get at that point. But one of the things that helped me to get it was Wayne Dyer was explaining that he always finds 4-leaf clovers. Like he was saying, he never had seen a 4-leaf clover until he came across this idea. And see, I thought 4-leaf clovers didn't really exist because I've never seen a 4-leaf clover. Well, to this day, I still have never seen them. I still have never seen one. But I thought they didn't really exist. But he said that once he changed how he was thinking, 4-leaf clovers started showing up for him. And I'm just like, really? Like, what? And so then that's what made me start trying to do the practice of like looking at things and just seeing it differently. Yeah. And so as much as we can do that, take the time to look at something and see it differently. I mean, even if it's just little things like when somebody cuts you off in traffic, and then you might be like, I'm a jerk. You know, you can start from there and just instead of calling that person a jerk or whatever, you can kind of just be like, you know, maybe he was in a hurry, or maybe he's, you know, got a baby on the way, or, you know, you don't know. And that's the point. You don't know what's going on with someone else. And you're looking through your eyes and you're making a judgment on them. And you just don't know.
And if you don't know, how can you make a true judgment?
Right.
It's definitely it's an erroneous judgment
Mhm.
because you don't know. You have nothing to base it on.
Yeah. And I think that's another thing that I've changed over the past year is my whole concept of everything that happens is happening for me. Because, you know, things that happen, you be like, what did I do to deserve it? what did I do to deserve that? Or whatever. And to flip it and just be like, you know what? I know this is happening for me. This is happening for my benefit. And sometimes you might not ever know why it's happening. Like you might not ever, most of the time, you may never know. And one thing I heard somebody say, and I was like, okay, I'm feeling that one because like my mom would be like I'm a very on time person. Like it's gotta be on time. Or else I got problems. My mama and certain other people, they don't watch the clock. But at any rate, so I spend a lot of time like, you know, taking my mom here and there. So I'm like, okay, you need to be ready at such and such a time. But I already know she's gonna be late, so I always give her the wrong time. Or whatever. But
Somebody got here early today.
You actually been good lately, but you've been impressively good lately, I should say. But my mom also knows that I'm not giving her the right time. So yeah, so she, you know, but she don't know how much of a window I'm giving her. So she usually try to get ready within a certain, you know, frame or whatever. But occasionally she's not. And that means we're still late anyway, and so I have an attitude problem. And so, so she's just like, well, you know, if you're late, then it's okay because that probably means that, you know, you missed the accident. You know, you're not going to be in this accident or, you know, you just never know what happened. I'm like, yeah, whatever. Like, I'm not behind that. I'm not behind that at all. But what someone said that made me say, okay, I can get with that, is they were like, you may not have been late for you. So they're like, what if, for example, let's just say someone is behind me in the car
Right.
and whatever my license plate number is the exact number that they needed to see to let them know that their sister who has died is thinking about them.
Mm.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
The
Wow.
perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That just like, boom. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that really helped me to really start thinking about if I look at things differently,
Mhm.
then things will look differently. And that particular incident, that was the one that kind of helped me to believe and to cement in for me that everything that happens is happening for my benefit.
That's a strong, when you're talking about changing your view of looking at something,
Mhm.
that's a strong place to turn your view to, is to know that everything that's happening is happening for your good. And when you're living from that place, I mean, it reduces stress. I mean, it reduces anxiety. I mean, it's like, everything, the universe is doing everything for my benefit. Wow. Wow. That makes me feel amazing, you know? I just feel amazing. You know, great perspective, I love it, love it.
But what you say with the judgment, I like that because one thing I have come to learn is I noticed that when I'm judging people, right? Because everybody judges in a way, but I learned that when I started to be around people and I just started to have an idea of who they are, or you know, like you said about the car, we don't know what's going on. I've gotten better with understanding that I don't know, and by me being aware of that I don't know, that just made my perspective change. So since my perspective changed, now I'm open to be like, you know what, I don't know. Okay, so I can't get there. I'm in a space of being non-judgmental, you know, and it just helped me out a lot. Just having a better, being better with being open to new thoughts, new perspectives, seeing how people operate and why they operate the way that they do, you know, having that awareness, because sometimes we'll sit back and say, well, why are they doing X, Y, Z? You know, I would have did it this way, you know, I ain't gonna judge you, you know, your way may work for you.
You know, there's sometimes we had a scenario where we're starting to judge a person for what they didn't even do yet.
Yeah,
We judge them for what we think they may be about to say or do. They ain't even in the room yet, but they come in here, they gonna have an attitude. They gonna come in here like they own the place. I mean, you know,
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe y'all haven't experienced.
Yeah.
They ain't even showed up yet, and we already judging them. We judging them based off of our thoughts. You know, so if we're gonna judge them based off of our thoughts, why not change our thoughts to judge them in a better perspective? Because what happens is we judging them negatively. They're not even there yet. We already have a little attitude. What you want? Yeah, here you go. And how they gonna respond to that? Right?
Now you put them in your space. Right. How you feel, right.
But if you change the way you look at it, they come in, you know, and you have that perspective. When they're coming in here, this is for my good.
Right.
Then they come in like, woo! Here you go. What you got for me today? You know, it's a different perspective. And so now you're happy they're coming in, they feeling good. Now they're definitely bringing you a gift.
Right.
Even if it's whatever their gift is, they're bringing you some level of a gift. So it's important to change that perspective. to not let our thoughts dictate the experience in a negative direction, to have that judgment on something that we don't know what's going on. I mean, it's bad enough we don't know what's going on when they cut us off on the road or something. We know that I ain't really like that. But to change that and say, okay, there was some higher purpose, I don't know what that was for. What was some higher purpose? And to understand that. So now you're in a place of peace, instead of having an erroneous judgment, which is going to drive you into that place of chaos.
Absolutely right.
Why are you here?
Yeah, so changing the way you look at things will change your experience. And so some of the ways we mentioned is, first of all, just really changing your perspective about who you are, who we all are. We're all connected to the source. We're not separate from the source. And so if we're connected, then there is no lack, there's no limitation, there's no fear, there's none of that. So that's one great thing, one great perspective change. We also talked about judgment and being non-judgmental. We also talked about just reconceptualizing, like, things that happen in your life. If you say it's happening for you and not to you, that's a game changer
Yes.
right there. And then, of course, I would also add just being loving towards everyone. So, of course, we love the people in our circle, and, even people who we are like, oh, I don't like that person, we kind of love them because we kind of know them. But a lot of times, as the circle gets bigger and bigger, as we go out further and further, we're not really feeling love for those people, especially if they don't see things the way we see things, especially if they go against, their thinking is against our thinking, then we're not flowing love to them. And just how flowing love to every situation, that's another game changer.
Yes.
Well, thank you guys for joining us. Until then, bye.